Yo, guys, what's up, and welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 152. Tonight on the cast is myself, Finto, and Alex, aka Zaberwolf. We're going to be talking about the big MCU news of Chris Evans returning and also any other nerdy news in between. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a like on the video, and if you're watching us on a replay, leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think. Without further ado, here we go. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad.
How was the week?
Oh, busy. It's it's starting to wind down a bit due to the holidays, but just trying to keep myself working so that
Yeah,
don't get in trouble.
yeah, yeah. I was kind of similar, bit of a busy week last week, but it is starting to kind of slow down. I'm doing a full week this coming week, but most of it's going to be working from home, which is great.
Mhm.
I'm on a client site tomorrow, but then that's it. I was scheduled to be down for one on Friday the 20th, and I was talking to the CEO of the company on Friday just gone, and I was just like, I'm scheduled to be here on Fridays, or even going to be anyone around, and he was like, don't commit. He's like, the place is going to be closed, don't bother. So I'm just going to work from home that day. So I've got one trip out tomorrow, and then that's it. I'm kind of home for the rest, and then I'm finished on the 20th, and I'm not back in work until the 6th of January. So very
Mhm.
excited. Yeah, I've got to get a full 2 weeks off, a little bit more. I think I have 16 days off in a row or something like that. So
Hmm.
very much excited just to kind of reset. I'll be spending some time with the families over the Christmas and stuff like that. Like, we spend Christmas Day in Dublin, then we go to Galway usually on the day after, and a few other bits. Then see some family and friends and so on. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to finishing work just for a couple of weeks and just, as I say, just have some time to reset. And I may try and do some longer streams and maybe start a new game or something like that, and just kind of chill with the community as well.
Yeah,
Um,
did you finish Black Myth Wukong yet?
no, I played it once since I took that break for October to play the horror games on the stream, and I haven't gone. I played it once, and I felt like I'd lost all my skills, so I feel like I really need to go back, and I might replay chapter 3 or something just to kind of grease up the gears again and get used to it, and then maybe try
Mhm.
and tackle a few of the bosses at the end of chapter 4 that I'm stuck on.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
yeah. Marvel, what's up? How are you? Guys, I appreciate anybody who was hanging out with us in the pre-chat. If you're listening to us on a replay, just leave us a comment, let us know what you think. Tonight, I think, could be a bit of a spicy one. We've got some cool news to talk about. Chris Evans is officially returning to the MCU. This was kind of officially announced during the week. Like, the Hollywood Trade started pumping it out. I've seen it on all the big kind of websites like comicbook.com, all these sites. Um, it's no news to me. I've kind of it's, if you have your ear to the ground at all with these things, like, you've kind of known for a long time that Evans was going to return. I think it was 2020 or something. Like, it was even might have been before COVID, I think, when I first heard that he had signed on to do a couple of more appearances, and they had always kind of said it was going to be the next big Avengers movie. I think everybody kind of thought that with the news coming out that they were doing Secret Wars. I think everyone kind of thought, yeah, with everyone else kind of coming into Secret Wars at the end, it's going to be like Evans is going to be there too, obviously. But then we got the kind of curveball of him appearing as Johnny Storm in Deadpool, and people are kind of like, oh shit, was that the return? And I don't obviously, there's been rumors of a Nomad show, and there was rumors. I even saw a couple of articles during the week as well. People were talking about how there was a potential project in the works of Steve and of Carter, Captain Carter as well. So I don't know if it was I think everyone's kind of always said that they wanted Steve in either a series or a movie returning the stones after Endgame. I think that's kind of one project that everyone's always kind of wanted to see. And I think the kind of common theory out there is that maybe the version of Steve that we see when he returns will be him during that kind of mission of returning the stones. Maybe he kind of just hops to the future and comes to Secret Wars to help fight whoever, Doom or whoever the fuck. I think that's kind of what people are expecting that it's going to be. There's plenty of theories out there of also what might happen. It could be Nomad, it might not be. It could be another Johnny Storm appearance. It could be Hydra Cap. There's plenty of different stuff that he could do, and potentially he does more than one. We might get a kind of fan theory that I heard and I really like the sound of would be, so say we come to Doomsday and the 616 Avengers have kind of reformed because they're not really in existence right now. So obviously after the events of Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts and all the stuff we have coming up, maybe the Avengers come back together or we get a new team. That team will then at the start of Doomsday go up against Doom, and maybe he's brought together like a Dark Avengers team or something like that. So, and then on that team could be Evans's Hydra Cap. And then you kind of have that kind of, Tom Holland versus Robert Downey Jr., pupil versus mentor. And then you have Sam Wilson versus Steve Rogers. Like, and it's that kind of like, mentor versus pupil. And then, that'd be a kind of sweet symmetry of them kind of getting their asses kicked by their by doppelgangers of their former mentors. And then, Secret Wars comes around and they need to get the help of the actual Steve Rogers to come back and help them. What do you think of that?
I'm not following you, buddy. I'm like this is going all over the fucking place. It sounds horrifying. It sounds like there's no path whatsoever. It's just going, people are coming from this way, people are coming from this way, people are coming from this way. I don't see where this is going to end up. This seems kind of odd. I mean, like I'm
or the Void, I think is kind of the big kind of theories out there. Whether we get an actual battle world or we get another thing on the Void. I don't think I would like the Void again. I think like a battle world would be cool.
I mean, the Void is not really my cup of tea. Like it just really feels like a very, like literally a big dump that they put into the show itself. Like, which I'm not saying that's horrible, but like you can only do so much with it before it's like, yeah, we've seen it already kind of situation.
Yeah,
like
they used it for already.
Well, they used it for Deadpool, and it was a cool iteration of like what they've gotten rid of essentially. Like it was it was basically fourth wall breaking, considering that they had all these different characters and whatnot. So like if you were to put them in there for Secret Wars or Doomsday or whatever, like it doesn't make sense because let's say fourth wall breaking, like part of the universe, or it could be something outside of the universe. I don't know, but like it essentially doesn't feel like anywhere that those characters should be. They're not being thrown away. They're not tossed to the side. It's just mainly the best of the best are going to be showing up in Battle World. There's going to be a range of different environments based upon like what fits best for the battlefield itself, and to have different characters associated. I think it's kind of odd that like they're really trying to spearhead this into like a Doctor Doom kind of situation, because we like I said before, a lot of the times like we still haven't had this character established. We don't know anything about him. We don't know what kind of person he's going to be in the MCU, and it seems a little convoluted right now. I think that it should have been introduced a bit sooner. I think it would have been fine to have him show up at any point, just because he does have his own place in Latveria, and you don't necessarily need the Fantastic Four at that point. You can introduce them at any point afterwards or beforehand. It doesn't matter. You just need to establish the villain and then give us a reason to kind of give a shit about the fact that this villain exists. Now, I really enjoyed Robert Downey Jr. I think he's great. But I think it's very much that the audience is not understanding like what the real importance of this character is, and that this character needs to exist and be cared about. And essentially, even if he's hated as a character, I would rather people hate him as a character than to essentially just be like, oh, it's RDJ as Dr. Doom, which that's all I see like at this point, because it's just so easy to rip the cord, right? Like it's so easy to, in case of emergency, break glass kind of situation. I don't mind these AAA actors. I think that there's just not enough legs for the MCU to stand on anymore, because I've tried so many different takes and they've gone in the same direction over and over. And so I'm just kind of, I'm flabbergasted. I have absolutely no idea where this is all going. The Dark Avengers, like there's no way that Doctor Doom is going to take helm for that. I think that would be a really like bad idea, considering that like US agent can take over and be the Dark Avengers, but he's already part of the Thunderbolts now, and it's not even helmed by, you know, God, what's his name? It's not Armin Zola, it's the other guy. I always forget his name. Zemo, yeah, Baron Zemo. Like usually Baron Zemo like takes helm for the Thunderbolts. There's you know, and for the Dark Avengers, you have like Norman Osborn, you have Luke Cage as the leader. Like it doesn't have to be necessarily like bad guys playing. You know, there's also Hawkeye. There's like Scar was in it. Like there's Miss Marvel. There's Spider-Man. Like there's all different kinds of characters that can play these different roles. And so if you're going to do the Dark Avengers, especially in Battle World or I would say like in Secret Wars or Doomsday, have those characters, throw them in there. Who gives a shit? Like it's a moment where you can just have as much chaos and fun as possible. And I don't think that they're going to play that route, because I think that they need to play a safe route now, because they've already torn down the walls of what they've established. So like, I think your theory about like a new group is true. I think it's going to be the Young Avengers, or at least the West Coast Avengers. And that's something I've been talking to you about like from time to time. And, you know, you've told me before, like, I don't know, but like, it's definitely showing up. Like these characters are really putting themselves forward. I mean, you have Hawkeye, you have Sentry coming along, you have Scarlet Witch is going to be coming back. More than likely, you're going to have Vision coming around. Like you're going to have all these different characters that obviously can take over a different chapter of the Avengers. And I think that that's what we need right now, you know, because we're too focused on the East Coast with like New York and Manhattan, and you know, it seems like they're not trying to branch out. They're just trying to like kind of contain it, much so to the akin to DC, which is not working for them, you know. And then when you have Sony in that mixture, you know, trying to involve themselves, it seems to be muddying the waters a bit, because they're just really not that like well versed within like the MCU whatsoever. It seems like they still want to kind of take that which involves the MCU and just like mold it their way, or they're just trying to find their own heroes through their villains, which I think is fucking stupid.
Yeah, I think I saw a picture, and I don't know if it's real or not. I think it's actually fake, but I saw a picture of Kate Bishop like sitting around a bench with like Ant-Man's daughter, Casey, and I
Yeah.
think what's her face was there as well, Miss Marvel. So like I kind of think like, yeah, they'll probably will do a project with them. I don't think that project would be good enough to be like an Avengers movie though. Like I just don't know if it would bring enough like asses to seats. And I think they know that now. I think maybe that was the plan originally, but I think they're probably having to shift a bit and try and get back to the OGs if they can. You know, I really think that's where it's going, because you know, if you were in the Marvel kind of writing room in like 2021 when they were firing out all these like crazy shows, like I think, yeah, like let's do a new Avengers that's all like the young female sidekicks, and it'll be the best thing in the world and everyone's gonna soak it up. I just kind of feel like they're like, oh shit, no, actually some of these projects like the Marvels and so on just are not doing it. So I think maybe they're trying to sidestep it a little bit. I would love to watch that. Like I'm a big Kate Bishop fan. Miss Marvel, I don't like the stuff she's been in, but I like her as a character, you know. And I think the actress is a little nerd, and I love that about her. Like she's a proper little like sweaty geek, and I think it's great. So like, you know, she's gonna put passion into whatever she does, and I just feel bad for her that she hasn't been part of anything great yet. Like if you could put her into Infinity War or something like that, I think like someone like her, I think would really shine there, because she'd be such a like a she'd be so grateful to be there. I think she'd put on an amazing performance. You know what I mean? Like both the character and the actress. You know, I think the character herself would be in her element being there, and the actress herself would also be very grateful to be there. I think it would be a great performance. I'm hoping she gets a good project to kind of sink her teeth into, because I think, you know, as I say, she's great. But right now, she has, in my opinion, done nothing. Like I think the show was pretty shit. Like let's be real. The first episode I thought was good, and then the rest of it just steadily went downhill. And Captain Marvel 2 was shit as well. Like it had a couple of nice little moments, but that was it. Like it's a one and done. You know, so I don't think Marvel want to be in the position right now where there's more people either not going to the cinema at all because they don't want to see these movies, or going and saying, "Yeah, that was kind of shit. I'll never watch it again." They want to create blockbusters. They need to get back to that. You know what I mean? And bringing the Russos back, and Evans now officially back, and Downey officially back. Like, I think they're trying to kind of reset a bit. And I think the Doomsday Avengers that we meet, I think it's going to be like Doctor Strange, Spider-Man. They're going to bring Thor back. Like, it's going to be all the big hitters that they can bring back. I think they will. Like, I don't think there's going to be like Kate Bishop standing up against Doom and stuff. Like, I think that'd be a bit ridiculous. But I would like to see those doing some stuff on the West Coast on a TV show or something, maybe. Or I don't think they could do a movie, but maybe they could. I don't know. Like, we're getting a Thunderbolts movie. So I think if the Thunderbolts movie is even semi-successful, I think, yeah, we'll get a Young Avengers after, but I think we need to wait and see what happens with that movie first, because I think there's a lot riding on that movie being a success. Like, if that movie does 600 million and it's kind of, 7 out of 10, and a lot of people are like, yeah, that wasn't bad, I think we get more stuff like that. But if people don't receive that film well, I think that's it. They're not like, I think that's the last time they take a chance on something like that, unless it's maybe a Disney Plus series or something. They're like, okay, we'll do it on the small screen, and if it fails, whatever.
I mean, I think what they're trying to do too much within the universe itself is not like necessarily take itself seriously. It seems like even when I saw the Thunderbolts trailer, there were some good moments, but a lot of the times it was just joke after joke after joke. It doesn't have to be a fucking joke fest, dude. Not everyone's a goddamn comedian.
No.
I'm getting tired of that, man. Like, it's a thing of the past. We've had it here, we've had it there. Let's cut it down a bit. Let's give it some time to like actually get serious. There's a lot of serious moments in Marvel comics. Like, it just feels like all they want to do is turn this series into like such a big joke, and it's getting absolutely tiring. Now, when it comes to the Young Avengers, they don't necessarily have enough characters to give it proper like liftoff. They haven't even introduced Hulkling. They haven't introduced Hulkling. We don't have a Spider-Man. We don't have Speed or Wiccan. I mean, we barely have a Wiccan, but who knows what's going to happen with that character. I mean, you have mentors that should have been there, which you have Scarlet Witch, which should be coming back. You have Iron Man and Captain America. You have Wolverine, for Christ's sakes, like taking the helm and like trying to guide these kids. And in some cases from different shows, like you have Shield or Sword handling the business with Nick Fury, basically teaching them what to do. And I can't remember if it was a Young Avengers or if it was the like a spin-off Spider-Man series where essentially they had Nick Fury teaching them, and Spider-Man was working with like Nova and Luke Cage and I think a couple other characters. But like, they don't, it just feels like they're very much segregating a lot of the different characters based on their sex and based on like their role, which is very, very annoying, because the whole idea about these heroes, they don't give a shit if you're female or male. Like, it doesn't matter. You're equals. You're supposed to be working together. You're supposed to be like collaborating. And I haven't seen a single fucking show in the longest time where both a male and a female character, like hero, actually get along and do things well. I mean, when I think Kate Bishop in Hawkeye actually worked really well, because it was like a mentor mentee kind of situation. She was the pupil, he was the master, and essentially trying to keep her alive while also teaching her the ways of like being a proper like archer. And it worked. Like, it felt like it really felt like almost like a buddy cop, but like in a very light way. And it's more like heartfelt because they have their moment, like, their Christmas time, the holidays, they're getting ready to like wrap gifts or putting up ornaments, or they're watching TV together. It's that moment of calmness with them, because that's what happens. Like, when between all the bullshit, you got to have those moments of like sentimental, like situations and events that basically give you a reason to care about them. Because I really like Kate Bishop's character. She's definitely a fantastic character. When they did Miss Marvel, I think they didn't understand how to really write her properly when she's by herself. They wrote her properly when she's with her family. So like I think anytime you saw him with the family, it felt very comfortable, very fluid. But when she was on her own, it's almost like she didn't know what to do, which like I feel like
I kind of like that for her. I kind of like that for her because she's so young, and I think that really portrays her as a very young character. It's like shit, like she's kind of out of her depths when she's not near her family, and that makes perfect sense for like a young teenage girl. Like I don't see a problem with that at all. I think that's actually quite clever.
Right, but like she's also a very confident person. So it's just kind of weird when you change the aspects of them. But like the big deal that I have is basically the powers. They really wrote it so poorly. Like she hardly ever used it, and when she did, it was just for platforming. It's like they didn't really want to give her a chance to actually fight people. They just wanted her to defend herself, which I think is very fucked up for doing that for a woman. Like you want female and male like characters to be on equal sides. Like I said it just a moment ago. I want to see Miss Marvel punching the fuck out of people, pushing them, like throwing them across walls, like swinging them around, fucking slamming them on the ground because she has the ability to. Why the fuck not? Like I want her to show like how badass she is. I don't want to see like a video of like, you remember the last episode where they were literally like, they could have literally played Kids in America song while they were in the fucking school, and that would have been it. Just a bunch of bullshit hijinks, and it felt uncomfortable, man. I was like, they really should have given her more strength. They gave the villain more strength. He was actually attacking and doing everything, and she's just defending herself. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Maybe it wasn't in the TV budget.
Probably not. Because like they decided to use Crystal Works, which is like that's so fucking difficult to do. It's probably so much easier to do, like, even if it looks like garbage, it would be funnier to have her do like actually stretch, and because it's not so much that she stretches, it's more so that she pulls like realities of herself into herself to become bigger. So she embiggens, like, that's literally her catchphrase. It's like embiggen, like, she gets bigger or she gets smaller because she's being pulled from a different reality. It's so fucking cool.
Just Griff in the chat here, Hawkeye's a pretty slept on Marvel show. Fully agree, by the way. I only just finished my 2024 rewatch. It says him and his son rewatch it every year for Christmas. I love that, man, and I do the same thing. I only watch it by myself at the moment because my missus didn't really like the show. She kind of said, it's not really worth rewatching every year. And I'm trying to convince her actually otherwise, because when you watch it like in two sittings, if you watch episodes like 1 to 4 in one go and then watch 5 and 6, it's a great little watch. Like I know some of it was slow in the middle, but when you're watching it back to back, it kind of flows a lot better. Like the LARPing episode 2, I wasn't a massive fan of that when it first came out, because I was kind of like, oh, this is a bit stupid, and we had to wait a week to see Hawkeye, playing with fake swords and stuff. But when you're watching it like all together, it's kind of fun. It definitely feels like a different show.
It's a hero. It's a hero showing his soft side to things. Like he decides to give in because not only does he want information, but because it's a time. It's a moment for him to unwind, which is not what he really wants to do. He wants to like solve the crime, but like he has to unwind. He has to look like a human. He can't just be a robot.
There's a lot of great, like, each time I watch it, I pick up a few little more kind of bits to make me laugh and stuff. But there's a great one in the LARPing episode where he's about to fight off against the dude wearing his suit, and he's about to start the fight, and he's like, I fought Thanos. Like, it's so funny. It's just like he went from fighting Thanos to this. Like it's very, very, very clever.
But that's like, and that's a good joke. But hopefully that's not a joke where like that now these characters are just sniffing their own farts. Like if it's done well enough, I believe that it's Hawkeye. But if everyone else starts saying that, it's like, oh, fuck, we fought worse than this. We fought Thanos. So it's like, okay, chill the fuck out. Like everything is a threat. It doesn't matter what type of threat. Everything is a fucking threat. Just let it be natural. Let it be nice. Yeah. And he was totally dad mode the whole show, which I really enjoyed. I think it was really well done. He definitely was like such a good teacher to Kate. And I think like I want to see I would love to see another season of that.
Bringing her home for Christmas dinner as well, like it's just so nice too, because obviously her mom gets arrested at the end of the show. She doesn't really have a relationship with her stepdad as well, and like I suppose he isn't technically her stepdad yet either, but I think he will come back into it. I like him as a character, the swordsman. I think he's good. But yeah, it's just great that she gets brought home for Christmas with the family, and even episode 1, I love episode 1 where they go to the musical and Hawkeye is just like having a bit of PTSD, and then he literally he's literally like planning out the Christmas with the family, and they've got like 6 days and all these things to do, and then he they're in the Chinese restaurant, and the waiter's like, oh no, sorry, I can't let you pay, like you saved our city and all. Like it's just like, oh, it's just so great to watch, man. Like, and like Hawkeye's like such a gentleman, like, oh no, Jesus, I can't, like, you'll have to pay for the food. He's like, you will not pay here, sir, you saved our city. Like it's epic,
Yeah.
bro. It's epic because it's kind of like a real world kind of take where, like, it definitely humanizes Hawkeye, but it kind of brings the whole situation of like the movies back to reality a little bit, because like they are so spectacular, and like you don't think of, when you're watching like the Avengers movies, you're not really thinking of the little people, like the little business owners in New York who are like shitting bricks, obviously, because there's aliens and shit everywhere. But it's just nice. It's nice to kind of get those little touches, because you don't usually see that kind of stuff happening in these movies.
Yeah.
They rarely show it from the human side,
Right, because like, I mean, these people would be very grateful that they just happen to save the lives of others. You know what I mean?
What's up, Jesse?
Hey, Jesse. I hardly ever see Jesse come in here.
I know. Look at the face. Look at the face.
That's the face she is making right now, because she's like, "What the fuck are they talking? What?"
No, to be fair to Jessie, she's doing a full timeline MCU rewatch, and she's watching a lot of it for the first time. But she's watching everything, like everything, like stuff that I would even skip. I wouldn't even bother watching some of the stuff she's watching. So I have nothing but respect for her. And I think you're nearly, if I'm not mistaken, Jessie, you're almost caught up, which is massive respect, because that's a lot of shit to watch. A lot of shit to watch. Marvel Maniac left a comment in here if you want to comment on it. Zaber, it's kind of for you, buddy.
I don't like that Marvel don't do one-to-one comics, but the only thing DC is the Penguin is the logo at the start, and this is episode videos. I guess I don't understand what's being asked of. Can you elaborate, Finto?
I think this was a couple of minutes ago, so I didn't want to pop it up on the screen when you were in the middle of talking, because I didn't want to throw you off. But I think I was explaining the whole stuff with Evans and the Dark Avengers, and a multiversal Avengers team. And then I think you had mentioned some stuff about potentially going away from like comic book stuff, and he's talking about, like, one-to-one. It's more a joke than anything else, I think, to be honest. But
I don't know, man. I guess
I probably should have brought it up a little earlier. My apologies, Maniac. My apologies.
Yeah. No, like honestly, like, it's not that it's like I'm not saying that I hate what's going on. I just it just right now it feels very confusing as to what like could be happening.
Yeah.
I don't know what their direction is currently, because there's so many different names being thrown out, and just because you throw out names doesn't get me on the seats. What gets me on the seat is the plot. Like I really liked Infinity War. The plot went well because they had already built up Thanos. Like, they gave a little bit of introspective here and there, and then they moved finally into him immediately after Thor Ragnarok. So it wasn't like just out of nowhere, like, oh, you're probably wondering how I got here kind of situation. It's literally that Thanos showed up in front of Thor's ship as they were leaving Asgard.
Oh yeah, like it's a literal continuation. Like, those two movies are basically one thing. Like, it's literally, it's like one ends, the next one starts. But as well, like, I think I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, but I was going through like all the timelines of the releases of all of these movies recently, because it kind of gobsmacked me a little bit, just of how many amazing projects we got so close together. Like, Ragnarok came out, and less than a year later we got Infinity War, and less than a year later we got Endgame, and then we got like Spider-Man 2, and then we got like, it was just kept going and going and going and going, and it was just absolutely fucking crazy. Like, honestly, it was the best time ever, like, to be a Marvel nerd, going to the cinema to see all these movies on IMAX and everything, like, because it was just banger after banger. And you're right, like, when they brought Thanos in, it just felt right, and it just flowed so perfectly. A lot of the stuff that I'm talking about during this episode, like, a lot of it's hypothetical, a lot of it's speculatory. Obviously, we know Downey's going to be in it. We know Evans is coming back. I can pretty confidently say we know, like, the Spider-Man are going to return. Jackman's going to be back. Deadpool's going, like, we know that all of this stuff is going to happen. We just don't know how, right? And I think, like, again, they could do something really cool. They could like, we have what 3 movies coming out in 2025, 3 MCU movies. In those 3 MCU movies, we could have a lot of these questions answered. You know what I mean? Like we could know by the end of 2025 where all this is going. But like we have Fantastic Four coming out, which is going to be a big one. I think that's like officially where we're going to see Robert Downey Jr. for the first time. And from what I know, the version of Fantastic Four that we meet aren't 616, but they're a different universe. So you're already in a multiversal story. You're getting introduced to a multiversal version of Doctor Doom. And I think he's actually from a different universe again. So he's not, we'll call him Pablo's Reed, like Pablo fucking, what's his name?
Escobar?
Oh my God. No, what's his name?
Pascal.
You know who I'm talking about. Yeah.
It's Pascal.
Yeah. You know who I'm talking about. Like his version of Reed isn't even Robert Downey Jr. So it's like there's multiverse piled on top of multiverse going on here. Like, and it's like it's just going to be wild. So I think we need a couple of these movies to happen for it all to kind of make sense. I don't think they're going to make a botch of it and do a kind of shit job of telling the story. I think it will make sense. I just think, we're kind of in the dark world. If we want to take like the Infinity Saga, right? We're kind of in dark world right now and we don't really know where it's going. It could go in a couple of different directions. Like obviously we know like there's some Infinity Stones and stuff like that, but like they might not do Thanos. You never know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I suppose we're kind of still in a little bit of a gray area. So I think they have a bit of time to kind of make it work.
Yeah, I mean, it's if it wasn't Fantastic Four, then someone at Marvel needs to be booted. I mean, the fucked up thing though is the fact that they were supposed to start and they were doing it well, in my opinion. They were starting off Kang and putting him in, and even though I wasn't a fan of He Who Remains, because I like for anyone that's listening right now, if you're a fan of Loki, I'm happy for you. I didn't like the show. I really didn't. I think it just I think it was crazy all over the place. I don't like that they made Kang He Who Remains. I think it should have just been a different character. But anyways, that's what you're gonna do. Fine. We'll move forward. We'll put you in. That's going to start the multiversal war because we have Kang being killed as He Who Remains. Then the rest of the Kangs come out. So what do they do then? Like, how do they write out of that? Like, are you telling me that they're just going to go?
Do you remember?
Those were movies.
Do you remember at the end of Ant-Man Quantumania where the Kang gets stuck in the where he goes into the thing? Whatever happened there, he goes into the microverse or whatever the fuck happens. Because they're already in the quantum realm, so he ends up going somewhere further. But I think the rumor is that he was going to come back. That version of Kang was going to come back with the powers of the Beyonder, and he was going to be the Beyonder. He was going to create Battle World, and that was how they were going to do it without Doom. Yeah. So to be honest, I don't know if you knew that or not, but I think that's why I think a lot of people know that, and I think a lot of people are maybe a little relieved that that's not where Secret Wars and stuff is going to go because it doesn't sound great.
No, it's just because why would they even think that in the first place? Why don't they just cast the Beyonder?
Well,
like, they already cast him in What If? Like, why don't they just cast him in real life?
I think that was the point, was that Kang was going to be everywhere. I think that was the direction. Like
yeah, but you can't put him. You can't literally put him everywhere. You just put fucking versions of him.
Hey, I didn't write it, bro. Calm down. I didn't write it.
You did, Clint Finto. God damn it.
No, sir.
I've been talking to Clint so much. Because I call you and Finto.
How dare you? We're nothing alike.
I know, but you guys, I tend to associate you two for some reason. But like, no, it's literally just this moment of like, don't do that. Just, you had an entire Coliseum full of Kangs. And unfortunately, you decided to make them all Jonathan Major, which I think was really dumb. You should have done like different faces, different aspects, different looks of it, just to kind of give at any point. It's be like, it doesn't matter who you're looking at currently. It could be anybody. Like Kang could look like anyone. And then that's how you fix the whole situation of like whether or not, we're going to get Jonathan Majors as Kang again, which probably is never going to happen again, even though like, I saw some shit. I don't know if it was true or not that like the lady that
she dropped it.
She dropped the charge. So like now it's like
He's cool.
So what?
You've been fired. Your career's over, but at least you're innocent.
Hey, you don't have to worry about it. Good luck.
Yeah.
It's like,
sorry, bro.
It's like really.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's so sad because like if whether he did it or not, hopefully he didn't, because like it was in court that they said he did, so I guess we legally have to say that he did, but allegedly he says that he didn't do it. I don't fucking know. But
the story
like,
was weird, bro. The story was weird.
It was.
Like, did you see the footage of like him
The
running
footage.
away?
Yeah.
There was footage of him running away from her, and it's like, I'm like, if you were guilty, why would you do that sort of thing? Like, so it was so weird, bro. I honestly don't know.
I think the
damage was done. Damage was
Right.
done. He lost a lot of sponsorships. I'm sure he lost his MCU contract, but he also probably lost a lot of contracts that we didn't know about. I'm sure there was plenty of stuff in the works that he didn't that he hadn't announced yet that he was probably going to be doing that he now didn't do.
Yeah. But we know now that he did do it. So
Marvel Maniac, make it a great point that I was actually gonna bring up as well.
Oh,
I did mention this before.
Horrible.
Yeah, there was a clause.
Horrible.
It's a genius thing from his point of view.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so that's the reason why we didn't get another Kang, because in the contract only Jonathan Majors could portray Kang in any Kang variant. So, I guarantee you, Marvel will never sign a contract like that again. I'm sure they've been burned, but from Jonathan Majors' point of view, he probably thought anything to do with Kang, you're paying me. I'm doing it. Whether it's my voice, whatever, it's my likeness in an anime or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that now.
It's kind of genius, and if from a business standpoint, on his side, it's very clever, because he probably thought, Jesus, they're probably going to use Kang in 10 projects coming up. I have to be part of all 10 projects. I'm going to get paid for 10 projects. It's genius, really. But from a business standpoint, from Marvel's side, during a multiverse saga, it's ridiculous. Because
then on the fan side, that's fucking evil.
We have multiverse versions of loads of different characters. You know what I mean? The only one that I could think of that we haven't seen yet is Strange. We've seen multiple Stranges, and they're all Benedict Cumberbatch. He's the only other person in the multiverse that is only himself right now that I can think of.
Wolverine? Hugh Jackman?
No, because there's Henry Cavill. The Calverine is out there. He exists. There's the midget one.
That's one. The majority of them are him.
There's the little midget version.
I'm talking about a nice variety of him. Like that's still him, but literally made shorter.
Yeah,
like even Deadpool, it's still all him, except for like moments where you see like, actually no, let me pull that back. Actually, they did make that so that it's actually different versions of him. So like, I like that. Like when you do that, that gives you more leeway. That gives you more opportunity to just like pick and choose from people, because then you could just put a different face. It doesn't matter. That's they had Peter.
Peter
I just I thought that was cool, because even if it's a joke, you could literally throw him in a battle world. He'd be like, "What the fuck am I doing here?" It's like, "You were a Deadpool, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, but my name's Peter." It's like,
I'm
like stuff
salesman.
like that. Yeah, like he's like, "I'm no hero. I was just wearing the costume." And it's like, "Oh, well, I guess you're here." It's like that to me is funny.
That will probably happen.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put the past that at all.
Good, because that's an actual funny moment, because it's like because he wore the suit, so like they might consider him.
True.
But like
Maniac says Wanda. I'm trying to think right now.
It's all been the same Wanda.
True. Technically, I suppose in the Fox universe, we did see a child version of Wanda in one of the movies.
She's a child.
But we're talking
about of age characters that are actually doing their powers. So you're gonna say Quicksilver, young Quicksilver, and Chris Evans, or Evan Peters?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So look, you're reaching now.
I'm just making the point. But look, anyway, I suppose how deep do you want the multiverse to go?
I want it to be multiple faces.
I think it's better that way too.
Yeah. Well, like, so hear me out here though. It's okay to do like a few extra like universes where they look exactly the same, because then you're like, okay, well then we'll just fuck with these guys. We'll fuck with those guys. But if you like change the faces and whatnot, it really gives a feel of like the universe having a drastic change.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say that exact thing, because like if you have Chris Evans showing up as Captain America in like 5 different universes, you're like, okay, this is kind of the world in a kind of set way or whatever. Yeah. Whereas if you have someone who looks completely different, you're like, okay, this is a fucking different world altogether. So that's what I kind of like it. Yeah.
This is like if Captain America dyed his hair. Like it's like in Spider-Verse where you have Peter B. Parker, you have Peter Parker, you have Peter Porker, you have Penny Parker. Yeah, like they literally figured that shit out, and that's why that those 2 movies are so goddamn good, because not like every single Spider-Man except for a couple of them like is completely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so good. I love it. Like they did so many different versions of the different characters, and it worked out. They had Miguel. Like Miguel is nothing of like Peter Parker, but like he was in there, and I thought that was so fucking cool.
Yeah, yeah. And like I think, you know, for every Peter B. Parker, there's probably in the multiverse there could be thousands of them that look just like him but very slightly different. But obviously they're picking and choosing.
It's literally tiny little things. It's like I guess the butterfly effect or whatever. Yeah, we do love us a Peter Parker. I love that shit. It's so good. Peter Parker is going.
Peter Parker was fucking fantastic. Yeah, that was so funny. I love that movie, man. I have to watch it again. I haven't watched it in a while.
Well, I'm excited to watch it. I think I just bought a DVD of it, so I'm gonna probably pop it in. I know that like we can watch it digitally, but like something about those, you know, special features and whatnot.
Yeah,
just being able to navigate.
I just got the Steelbook for Deadpool and Wolverine, and I've been waiting for like my home rewatch of it to be on the Steelbook. So I'm gonna physically pop the Blu-ray disc into my PlayStation and watch it, like, and watch all the special features and everything. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still big into physical media, as you can see behind me.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of physical shit sitting here. So yeah, no, big time. I fully agree. But I did buy the Across the Spider-Verse on digital because I wanted to watch it straight away, and I didn't want to kind of chance my arm by getting a pirated copy of it that could be like a bit glitchy or whatever. I was like, I want the full 4K, full like fucking 7.1 surround sound, like all in. Like, give it to me. Give it to me in the best possible package that I can get. Like, because that movie deserves every fucking frame to be perfect. It's incredible.
It was done really well, and I really appreciate everything they did in that movie. I love that they had like the different universes where it was even like, you know, was it the Peter Parker from India? I can't remember. Like Spider-Man from was it an Indian Spider-Man? Yeah. And like that is so cool. Like it gives off like this vibe of like it's not just one area. Sometimes there's a Spider-Man here. It's like with Superman. Remember when they did like the Soviet Superman? I can't remember. Is it Red Sun? I think that's the name of the comic series. Where like, what if Superman literally was born in
Russia or whatever?
Yeah, and instead of being in America, and he still was a badass character. He just had a different symbol.
Red Sun, says Griff. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Griff. I appreciate that. Disney doesn't release Blu-rays here, and that sucks.
That does suck.
Do you have to outsource?
Yeah, can you? I presume, because I know, because we used to have similar kind of situations with games and stuff back in the early 2000s and around the time of the PS3 when they first started doing Blu-rays and stuff. I remember I had a Japanese PlayStation 3, which my girlfriend at the time bought it for me for Christmas one year or my birthday or something, but it was a white one. And it was like one of the only white ones in the country, but it was a Japanese one. And a lot of the discs wouldn't play in it because they were like region locked and stuff.
Right.
So I don't think that they do that anymore, as far as I know. I don't think that, like, I think everything is kind of like universal region or whatever. So I don't
just
think,
about.
I haven't seen the region lock thing in a very long time. But that used to be a real kind of fear of mine when I had the Japanese PlayStation. But where is it? Sorry, no, it's at my parents' house. I thought it was on the shelf there, but it's such a cool fucking piece of kit. like the X and the O are like mixed around on.
Yeah, it's like opposite ends because like that
Yeah,
that was supposed to be the idea is that X is supposed to be cancel
yeah,
and O is supposed to be
which makes sense, I
accept.
suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
they
they're doing
they
it.
they added
They're doing it
they
right.
added that feature. You know that
Yeah.
they added that feature in like the new firmware like updates for PlayStation. You could do it on the PS5 as well if you prefer to have the X being your cancel and circle being your accept buttons.
Nice, yeah. It used to kind of drive me crazy though, because like if I was playing somebody else's PlayStation, obviously it would be X for enter or accept. But then at home, mine would be the opposite way around, and it used to always kind of mess with my head. But looking back on it, it was cool. But at the time, I was kind of like, oh, it's like I was like, obviously didn't want to be given out because like she got it from Japan and all. It was like she went to like a big effort to do it, like so I didn't want
Yeah,
to be a dickhead and be like, oh, this is actually so annoying.
fucking stupid.
Looking back now, it was a pretty cool gift, like to be fair.
Oh yeah,
Um,
but
we're taught. Go on, sorry, go on. What were you saying?
just to kind of finish it up, I think
Yeah.
it's really evil of Jonathan Majors though to just be like, I want to be every face of Kang. I would,
Yeah,
you can't do Kang unless it's me. It's like, how long is that contract gonna last? Because that sucks. That
yeah.
really sucks.
I again, I see it from his perspective where it's like,
Right.
I am Kang, and maybe there's a bit of insecurity that somebody else could come in and do it better than him, and then they replace him, or I kind of from a business standpoint, I can see why he would want to do something like that. I honestly don't understand how Marvel allowed it. They obviously had great faith in him and a proper storyboard, and they knew exactly where the story was going to go, and they probably said, "Yeah, that's fine," because they probably didn't think, "Ah, we'll never skew off the story. Like we'll be fine, we'll whatever."
Hmm.
Like, but obviously, real world shit got in the way, and I'm sure that they will never do that something like that again. But
Yeah.
um, because I'd say he was probably he's a relatively, not to say new actor, but I think he only was kind of getting to his peak like of popularity, and I think maybe they thought, oh yeah, we'll get this guy in now. He's just about to kind of hit his peak here, and he'll be kind of settled with us for a good few years. He won't go anywhere, and it'll be grand, and they'll be all happy. And it just, yeah, blew up in their face. Jesus, yeah,
Man.
crazy.
And you're right though, like it's really it's hard to tell when something like that is really going to happen. It wasn't necessarily his fault. But like at the same time, he just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and hopefully it wasn't, actually true, but I mean, legally saying that's what we got. So
Yeah, yeah, it's a weird situation. I don't know what's like. I haven't heard anything about him since. I think he's kind of gone to ground, and like, I don't think we'll see him acting anytime soon. You know,
yeah,
never say never though. I'm sure he might come back. Like the whole Johnny Depp thing. He got sacked from Warner Brothers and everything over the Amber Heard stuff, and I've heard he's got some movies coming up. I think he kind of came out as the kind of he might not. Did he actually? I don't know. I didn't watch the case, like, but I think he actually won the case, didn't he?
he won the majority. He only lost one part of it.
Yeah. So, but
Um,
he came out as the fan favorite, I suppose. All said and done, I think everyone kind of turned against her rather than him, and she's kind of the one who's had to kind of like
yeah,
escape Hollywood. Like she's living in like Spain or something now under a different name and all. Like she's completely like gone underground. And I think while he's not able to work for Warner Brothers anymore, I think he's able to. I think some directors are kind of giving him work just to try and get him back on top.
right. I think too many people found her claims to be kind of like far fetched, and
Yeah,
um, I don't know if you actually watched um, they did bring James Gunn back, but like his stuff, yeah, that was terrible. But it's like it's on a different spectrum of like horrible, in my
yeah,
opinion. Because like this was literally like someone's getting attacked, or there might be abuse going on. Somebody's getting hurt, somebody's causing like psychological damage, physical damage, emotional damage to someone. I don't even remember what James Gunn did, but I know he just said some shit that was like really horrible.
yeah. Didn't they dig up some like racist tweets from like 2009 or some shit, and Disney fired him over that? And then I think Guardians 2 was in production, and the whole cast kind of said, "Bring James back, or we're walking. We're not going to make the movie without him." So I think
Right.
Disney had to bring him back, and now he runs DC. So he kind of definitely cancel culture came for him, and he kind of sidestepped it and came back.
Right. And like, it's we don't condone that kind of stuff. But like it's just I guess like it's hard for me to touch on this kind of stuff because I feel like there's never a right or answer to this. There's always a wrong answer trying to justify what people
Yeah,
did.
yeah, I agree, man, as well. Like, and like, I'm not like, I'm not taking sides. I've never read the tweets. I don't know exactly what he said, but
Yeah.
I know for a fact like the world was a very different place in 2009 than it is today, and I'm sure James himself knows whether whether he has these thoughts in his head right now. That's one thing, but you don't publicly say a lot of stuff, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think
Right.
everyone's kind of adapted to that, and I think it's made a lot of people grow as well. Like, like a lot of people are a little more like, I don't know, accepting, like, if they're not like, it's not like COD lobbies in real life. Like, that's kind of how I always describe it, is like,
Right.
remember COD lobbies back in the day, like it was the most diabolical shit on earth. Like, but there was a
Oh,
time
yeah.
when people would just outright kind of do that on the internet as well. And they'd write it down, and they're not realizing that you're physically putting stuff out there that can be called back whenever. And James Gunn is a prime example of this. And they try and dig up old tweets on a lot of people, and you know what I mean? Like, there's like a whole like crazy old videos of like one of the creators of like Rick and Morty, that they were trying to cancel him as well because he was putting out all these weird, like, kind of like fan films, like weird shit of him like raping people and all this stuff. And you're kind of just like, what are you doing? Like, like, obviously hindsight's 2020, but like, like, I think at the time people probably just like had a different mindset towards the internet back in those days. Like, it was kind of the beginning of the internet as well. Like the internet wasn't around that long after, like, when a lot of these things happened. So like, you got to think of it that way.
Well,
People are just young and stupid, and I suppose
right.
people grow, and like there's probably some weird shit that I said on like some social media shit when I was like 15 years old, and if somebody
Everybody
brought it up,
has.
yeah, like if somebody brought it up now, you'd kind of just be like, "Oh, I don't know how to explain that. I don't
The
even remember saying it. I was a completely different person." Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I think everybody has a bit of that in them, like,
I would say anybody that says that they don't have anything on record from the internet are the people that said it deliberately, like from their mouth. So
Mm,
like I highly doubt anybody has ever existed in this world that hasn't said anything very stupid in their life. And
yeah,
like I'm one of them. Like I'm dumb. I'm a dumb kid. I was a dumb kid. Like,
yeah, everybody was.
yeah, so like I'm not going to say that I never did anything wrong, because that's bullshit. Like I've done wrong things. So like it's just being able to admit that, and you know improve yourself upon it, and don't ever do that shit again, is like what shows the true adaptation, what makes people feel better
Yeah,
about these different people. The only thing I would ever have to say to the people that like get pissy about this is like, do you watch Disney? And if they say yeah, it's like, did you know that back in the day Disney did a lot of racist and
oh yeah,
anti-Semitic
of
shit? And it's like,
course,
do you not realize that these characters that you so beloved made fun of different cultures back in the day, and you still love them? Why? Because they've changed. They figured it out. They changed their ways. They realized, oh shit, we can't say that anymore, because that's
yeah,
not part of that's like something that in the culture that people thought was pretty normal at the time, which
yeah.
I still think is kind of fucked up. But like,
It is,
you
it
you
is.
you you can't be mad at someone and then go around and say that you love Disney. Like,
Like, look at comedy, like, you know what I mean? Like, comedy's changed
oh,
so
it's
much in the last 10
changed.
years.
Andrew Dice Clay couldn't do shit after a while. Like, that
Yeah.
dude had nothing. He had to shut his fucking mouth.
Dice does the fucking. I love Dice, man. He's such a legend. But like, like, look at like even like Dave Chappelle, like, did some like wacky shit back in the day, whereas like he wouldn't be able to do any of that today. You take a show like Scrubs or something like Scrubs, like, I'm pretty sure, like, again, I know like Zach Braff and Donna Fraser are like best friends in real life. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're actual brothers, I would almost say at this stage. So when you see like JD doing blackface in that show, it's fun. They're all in on it. They wrote it together. They're all sitting there having a barrel of laughs. But if you do that today, it's like alarm bells ringing. Like, and that's kind of just the way society's changed. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I would never call Zach Braff a racist in my life, but you get these like little teenagers now who might stumble across a clip of Scrubs from back in the day, and they'd be like, "What the fuck is this racist shit?" Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I do want to pull up Marvel Maniacs post. Is yeah, like Chappelle doesn't have a like restriction on what he says really. He's very much in the realm of counterculture. And he honestly is so fucking funny that it like, it's going to offend people. It's always like he says it even in his comedy shows. Like it's like, I know I'm going to offend people,
I think
but you're going to fuck.
that comment was in reference to James Gunn.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oof.
Sorry, that was a few minutes ago. He was kind of saying that James Gunn still kind of says stupid shit publicly, just not enough that he can get canceled for.
Oh, I thought about Chappelle.
Chappelle's the maniac.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
No, nor should he,
yeah.
to be honest. And I think comedians should have a free pass to a certain extent.
To a certain
extent. Because it's comedy, you're meant to shock people. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You can't be sitting like, you see some of these clips of like some of these people going to these comedy shows and like taking offense, like, and it's like you're going to a comedy show, like you expect it to be like raunchy and witty and like that's just what it's going to be, like, you know what I mean? Like, so like if you go to a show like that and you're coming out offended, like you shouldn't have gone in the first place, in my opinion. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
you should have known what you were getting into from the first place.
Like seriously. Yeah, like imagine doing what RDJ did in Tropic Thunder. Like, there's always those kind of funny clips when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and Rogan was like, this was in like 2019, so it was like straight after Endgame, and he says to him like, could you do Tropic Thunder today? And RDJ goes, you could do it, but should you? I don't know. Like, so
right. Well, like even then, Ben Stiller
he got more grief. Yeah.
You make me happy.
Yeah,
like that was so rough.
He got more hate. He got more hate than Robert Downey Jr. doing blackface. Like, right. And Downey was like saying that, like, he just loved the fact that he could be black for a few months. He thought it was the best thing ever because he's loads of black friends, and he's like, I get to be black for a few months. It's so ridiculous when we're talking about it. Like, but that was the world back then, man. Like, look at all like the kind of like teenage kind of comedies and stuff like that. Like, you can't do any of that stuff anymore.
No.
Like, that's just the way it is. And I think it's a bit ridiculous, like, like, I think it's all fun and games, like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's all fun and games until you're serious about it.
Well, like, I don't know, man. Like, I have an autistic child, and I see online every day on like TikTok and everything. Like, I'll see people slagging other people by calling them autistic and stuff. Like, I don't sit there and get offended by it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and right. I think you kind of have to, if you're going to be on the internet, you have to have thick skin. I think you really do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just kind of sit there and get offended by it. Like, I could start writing to people like, how dare you use that word and all this stuff. Like, it's like, whatever, man. It is what it is.
And I agree, Marvel Maniac. That would have been the easiest pick ever. Like, they couldn't. That would have been because of the contract.
That would have been so good if they did. Yeah, but they could. Yeah, if the contract is really true, they couldn't. But could you imagine if they did?
Oh, that would have been so good.
And he's gonna be Kang. Oh man, that would have been so fucking funny.
It kind of makes you think though, like, how often would they need to pull him? Because, like, there's so many different versions of Kang and different stories and whatnot. They have him up against Moon Knight. I think they have him up against, like, the Young Avengers. They have so many different moments. So it's like, he'd be getting so much work. And he'd probably get so sick of it so quick, as opposed to like Doomsday,
Yeah. I think it was all coming to a head after Secret Wars, no matter what. Like, I really think 2028 is the 30-year or 20-year anniversary, and I think it's the perfect time for them to do a kind of soft reboot and start up a new universe. Like, I think that's kind of always been the plan, and I think maybe they're just slightly taking a bit of a detour towards the end of it now because they kind of have to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hopeful, man. I think, like, we've got a couple of good movies coming up. I think we've got a couple of epic movies coming up in like 26, 27. The two new Avengers movies, Spider-Man 4, probably Doctor Strange 3, another Thor movie's coming. You know what I mean? Like, I think And like, Hemsworth himself has kind of said, like, we went too far with Thor 4. We're gonna fix it. Like, so
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like, honestly,
Yep.
man, like, it's perfect. It's perfect. Like, that's it, like, really. You know what I mean? That's like the R word, as I'll call it. I don't know if there's, I don't want to say it on YouTube just in case, like, it gets us in trouble, like on a kind of like a
I
bot
think
thing or
it's
whatever.
come back somehow.
It is
like
come
I've been
back.
hearing a lot.
It has come back. I kind of said it in a conversation to my missus, and she was kind of like, "You really shouldn't say that word," and because we have like a relative whose like brother is Down syndrome, and it's like if you
Mhm.
say that word around him, he'll kick the shit out of you, sort of thing. Like, and I'm like, I understand that, but at the same time, it's like you're not saying it in that way, if that makes sense, And this is the gray area of the whole fucking thing.
It's
It's like
hard to touch on.
it's a hard to touch on thing. Like, I could talk, I'm not going to talk about this online, but like I have plenty of examples of this from the real world where you say one word that technically means something. And this is a big thing in Ireland. Like we use a lot of like really bad words in general conversation. Cunt is a big one. Like, but, and Australians are the exact same. Like cunt is a good word over there. Whereas in America, it's like, the holy grail, like the bad thing, like you can't say it at all, like like that's like the worst word or whatever. But like it's like I'd be like, I'd call my best friend a cunt, constantly. I'd be like, oh Jesus, you mad cunt, or something, like, like it's like the common word that we say, and I
Yeah.
know it is even more so for Australians. Like they'd be like, you'd greet someone by calling them a cunt in Australia, like, you know what I mean? So it's just different meanings for it in different places, and I think that's one thing that like the internet kind of got slapped with, like, Jesus Christ, they say this word like casually and they say that word for this, but it doesn't really mean that, it really means this. And yeah, it's just, I think that was kind of one of the downfalls of everybody just kind of globally coming together so quickly. It's just that there's like different cultures and everything just kind of clashing over stupid shit where it's not really meant in that way. But yeah, anyway, we've been talking about the kind of like epicness of the MCU and all this sort of stuff pretty much for an hour now. So I thought we'd flip the script and say how bad something is that's come out. KRAVEN.
Okay.
Bro, talk to me about KRAVEN.
Did you actually go see it?
I didn't, but
oh, dude,
did you go?
Yeah, I went today.
Oh man, I wanted to go, right? I did. I didn't have the time to go today. I was planning to actually go yesterday, but we had just such a really busy day that I didn't even have time to ask my parents to babysit or anything like that. So I was just like, oh, we're not gonna get a chance to go. And I've just been hearing such terrible things that I just was like it's still like a fucking 75 € day out for us. Like, so I'm like, I don't even want to spend the money on this movie. But I'm actually delighted that you've seen it, because what I was gonna say is the movie is like financially, I believe it's a failure. I think they removed it from like half the theaters in America that they were going to show it on, which is alarm bells, number one. Like, if Sony don't even have that belief.
I was going to try to watch it in like Dolby Cinema, where they had like the better recliner seats and not just a regular cinema with
there,
like the No, there were no like they had one IMAX, and then the rest were just like regular or recliner seats, shitty recliner seats, might I add. So like not even giving us the good stuff, and it's just, I was like, fuck, man, like that, like, and I was like, it can't be that bad, right? Like it can't, like it's like it's got to be it's got to be so bad it's funny, right? Like it's got to have some little zazz to it and give you something, right? And I don't know how much you want me to go into this.
You can spoil the whole fucking movie. I don't give a shit. Go
okay. All right. So I went in thinking like, all right, I already have low expectations. Let's go in here. Let's enjoy the movie as best as we can. Bro, I shit you not. There were like 6 of us in that theater. Wow. And it was like I could lay out and be like, oh, thank God, like nobody's here. I'm gonna lay out on these shitty ass recliners. I'm gonna
be good thing.
I was like a tired baby. I was like I could not focus on the fucking movie whatsoever, but I knew what was going on. And it was just so it wasn't infuriating, but it was just so like boring. It was so bad. It was so undone. Like it had no legs to stand on.
Yeah.
Beginning heaps of ads about the digital release of Venom 3, which is insane because it's like Venom 3 wasn't even that good.
Yeah,
Like
no, it wasn't. Sony abandoned this film before it was even released. And that's when I knew we were fucked, right? Because when we saw the trailers, we were kind of like, Jesus, this might be good, because some of the trailers were actually looked quite good. Again, I've been listening to the leaks and the rumors about the movie for a year now, and I kind of knew it wasn't going to be good, but I thought maybe the general population might go and see it and it might make some money, because they might get tricked into kind of going to what they think is going to be a good film, but then it turns out to be kind of shit. That's where I thought it was going to go, and I thought maybe they'll make a bit of money out of it. I just checked while you were speaking there. The global box office on Sunday is $26 million globally. Like, that is unbelievably shit. Like that is some of the worst I've ever seen. Like, I can't even believe it's that bad. And the fact that Sony pulled it from half of the theaters in North America will tell you that they themselves knew it was fucked. I heard that they had there was like a Comic-Con or something on, I think in Brazil or somewhere, and they did it like a surprise panel for KRAVEN. I think they had some of the actors there, and apparently nobody showed up. The hall was empty, and nobody wanted to even listen to the people talk about the film. And I'd say that's when they probably knew, oh shit, that no one's going to want to see this. So I might still go see it, man. I might still go see it, because again, my friend was supposed to be in it. I was kind of texting him during the week going, bro, you've done it again, because this movie's another fucking flop. We always kind of joke with each other that everything that he appears in is cursed, and he just everything fails. And I've just man, you've just ruined another one. Well done. So, kind of joking with him. But he's even saying, I hope I'm not in it now. I don't even think he saw it.
Do you know what what part of the film, did he say what character he played as, any sort of extra or whatnot?
His character, I don't think has a name, but he's one of the mercenaries who I believe it's the scene where they're laying the bear traps down to try and catch KRAVEN, I think, and
they cut that.
Okay, so maybe he wasn't even.
I don't think he's in it.
Yeah, well, that's hilarious. So
that, or I missed it because I was so it was so uneventful that I started looking at my phone because nobody was around. I'm like, I'm gonna look at my phone.
Even the last trailer that they released though had some of those scenes in it, I believe. So it'd be weird if it did get completely cut, but maybe they only kind of panned over it very quickly. I think the story was, again, I'm only kind of guessing now, but I think the story is that there was a kind of group of mercenaries that were meant to be hunting what they thought was a bear or something, but it turned out to be KRAVEN, and KRAVEN comes in and just wipes out this gang of mercenaries or something.
Yeah, that sounds like near the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that's where he was meant to show up. He sent me a couple of pictures, a couple of behind the scenes pictures, but I can't show them on the stream. But I'll send them. Yeah, I'll send them to you privately. But he did send me some stuff, and he looks cool. He's got all the gear on, and he's carrying an M16 or something. It's
okay.
It's pretty cool. Well, yeah, man. Okay. Sorry. Go on. Continue. Tell me all.
Oh, dude, I have never seen a movie do its best to give you the shittiest way that to give someone powers. So it starts off with him doing a hit because he's hunting people, and then it goes to basically backstory, and I'm like, okay, well, here we go. Here's how it fucks. It literally turns in
years earlier.
Yeah, because it's you're probably wondering how I got here, and it's
that classic tune.
It's so fucking bad, dude. They're out hunting with their father, Nikolai. It's him. It's Sergei and Dmitri. Dmitri is supposed to be Chameleon in the future. Mm-hmm. And essentially they go out hunting. Nikolai's trying to teach him the art of hunting and whatnot. And and so then Dimitri's being undermined because he's an illegitimate son of he's basically a bastard. And so essentially they come across a lion, just the two of them. And then instead of Sergei shooting at him, he stops because the lion is just staring at him, and they kind of lock eyes with each other, giving him the fuck me eyes or something. And it's it's so bad because then like all of a sudden you see Nikolai fire a shot off at the lion, and then the lion just goes berserk and attacks Sergey, bites the shit out of him, and then carries him off like he's gonna go fucking eat him. And it's like, okay, well, I guess that's it. Credits, time to roll credits. But no, hear me out. Yeah. There's this lady and her grandmother, which I didn't realize that was her grandmother. They were playing tarot cards, and they're like, there's going to be a path, something bad's going to happen, and then you're going to find strength within. And then she takes the strength card, and then she's on the Jeep, and they're on the Jeep, and they're taking pictures of giraffes, and they're like, look, honey, it's pretty, right? And then all of a sudden she's like, I got to walk over to the bushes because there's something going on over there, which I couldn't hear a fucking thing. And then the lion walks into where the bushes area is, looks at her and goes, oh, sorry, bro. You want this food? I'll leave it for you. Drops Sergey. And is like, peace out. Here's your thing. And she's like, that's what this is for, right? Because something bad did happen. And so we're going to add strength to Sergey. And I have this little vial of like this potion with a little leaf in it, which doesn't have any sort of indication of what the fuck it is. And I'm just going to give him a few drops or give him the whole thing. It's a tiny ass vial.
So it's not like tiger blood or like lion blood that goes into him. It's a different thing.
No, the lion blood goes in him.
Okay,
but
I thought that's what
the
gave
potion. No, the potion is what gives him the powers. But the lion's blood is mixed with it, so that you kind of get this feeling that it was mixed with lion's blood, so that it's like it's all interconnected.
He's an animal,
right? Yeah. But by the way, Katie told me ahead of time. She's like, "Did that lion have a mane on him?" And I said, "Yeah." It's like, yeah, male lions don't attack people, like it's the female lions that go to hunt.
Oh God, no.
So like she's like once again women being undermined by men.
How dare they?
Can't even get a woman lion to like a lioness to go fucking kill a dude.
Yeah.
But like I thought that was hilarious. But anyways, that's what it was. The lion drops off the kid like, here you go, ma'am. Go ahead, give him the powers. She puts the thing in. He dies for like 3 minutes, and then he comes back to life in the hospital. And she slips him the fucking strength card. And I shit you not, it's like, it's just so fucking. It's like it's so.
Sounds idiotic, man. Really
it's like does. What? Yeah, like no, the lion was gonna. The lion would have taken him to the pack, and they would have fucking eaten him.
Man, I know we're talking about comic book movies here, but come on, this sounds so terrible. Like
he would have been Craven Chow. He would have been Craven Chow. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's and guess what? That woman, like, because they see each other later on. It's Calypso. So Calypso is a witch doctor in the MCU, and she fucks with Craven. She like fucks with his head and like helps him out during his endeavors. Eventually, Craven like offs himself. And she's trying to resurrect him, like in the later comics. Like it's so fucking crazy because, like he never gets a chance to really capture Spider-Man.
Which movie did she appear in?
Calypso.
Wasn't she in? Was there a version of her in one of the Sony movies already? Was she in like Morbius or something? I think there was a version of her that showed up. It was the same actress who was in the Sonyverse already. Yeah, she was in like one of the other movies. So like they very slightly connected this to another one of their shitty movies.
Oh, weird.
I don't know which one. I don't know which one it was. I think it was Morbius. I might be wrong though. It might have been like one of the Venom movies or something. I'm not sure.
It did very much feel like a Morbius movie, but like worse because there was so much fucking talking. There was so much fucking talk, and all this shit. Essentially, like. It goes back to his past again, or like they show him like running away. Literally just go ahead and skip the movie if you don't want to watch it. If you feel like it's not going to be your thing, by all means. But if you care about bad movies, if you want to watch a bad movie, this is the king of bad movies. Right
Some people get their kicks off that. That's I believe that's how like the kind of horror genre stayed alive so long, is that people like enjoy watching shit horror movies. Like it's part of the fun to see how bad it's going to be. So I honestly think that maybe this is kind of what Sony were trying to do. It was like they were trying to make these like kind of cheesy movies that become kind of cult classics or something. But like, no, like the comic book genre is not there, and it shouldn't be there at all.
Right. Yeah. So like Craven and Nikolai, like Sergei and Nikolai and Dmitri, like Sergei and Nikolai both don't really care too much about Dmitri. They abuse Dmitri in the comics. Like they do not give two shits about him, except for maybe Sergei. Sergei has a little bit of an interest in him, but like, yeah, CW situation. Holy shit. It was so bad. It was so fucking bad, dude. Like it literally was like, I'm going to streamline having Dmitri being the weakest link. And then at the end of the movie, he's going to be the leader of that organization that just got wiped out. Which that fucking happened, dude. It like 100% fucking just turned into the situation of like, I'm so weak, but now I own the organization. So now I'm going to be like the head of the thing. And now I'm actually Chameleon now. And it's just like, oh my God, dude, like you didn't even give him a chance to like really grow. You just made him into a little pissant.
Did they even explain the Chameleon thing? Because obviously I knew about it, but is it even explained?
Just that he's really good at mimicry. Like he can mimic voices and whatnot. But like the only thing they do is the little tongue in cheek. He's like a chameleon.
Oh my God.
He's like a chameleon.
Yeah, we got him.
And then it's like, what did they call him? They call him the Hunter. Some others call him Kraven. Kraven? Where did he get that name from? It's like, idiot, his name is Kravenos. Like the what? Like, but anyway, so like you already know like Dimitri's going to be like the weakest link, but also ends up like the organization leader by the end of it. And you have these different characters in between that are upset with Kraven because he killed someone at a Siberian prison, and that kind of only just spearheaded to that. It didn't show him killing any other people on the list. It just showed him in like, I guess, intervening against these people as well. They had the Jackal show up. They had the main villain is Rhino.
Yeah, I hear he doesn't show up for like most of the movie as well.
No,
not
like
not in a lot of it. Like,
no, well, like the character's design, no, not at all. Like, but the character himself is there, like for the majority of the movie. He's at the fucking beginning because he's talking to Nikolai, and Nikolai's like, "You're weak. You suck. Get the fuck out of my face." And it's like, what? Like, okay. And then he's like, he makes this face of like, I'm gonna get back at you, and I'm like, oh, well, that's the fucking villain. There you go. Like it's so it's so fucking tongue in cheek. It's so goddamn. It's so like it's petty shit. It's on the nose. It's tongue in cheek. It's fucking bullshit. I need to take a drink. Hold on.
Go for it. So talking about this, like obviously the fail. Sony have come out and said that that's it. They're done. They're not going to be making any more of these movies. The rumor is that they're actually potentially talking about casting a new Spider-Man and kicking off a Sony Spider-Man alongside the MCU Spider-Man of Tom Holland. And like, to be honest, fine. I think they should have been doing this the whole time. You know, whether they want to actually do like live action Miles instead and let it be like, you know, let Sony be like the Miles universe, because obviously the Spider-Verse is phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like, and like maybe Sony just sticks to that side of it and then let Peter Parker be in the MCU. Like that to me is perfectly fine, and I would be so happy with it. And then if you did like a Spider-Verse kind of crossover, I think people would go insane for that. Yeah, or if you want to do another Peter Parker, that's fine as well. I see a lot of people talking online and kind of just going, just cast Andrew Garfield, bring him back. Everyone wants him. Andrew's the fan favorite and all. It's like, and Andrew himself is like, where were these people in 2014 when we were trying to get Spider-Man 3 made? You know what I mean? It's like, obviously everyone at the time after they saw Spider-Man 2 kind of abandoned Andrew a bit, but now it's everyone wants him back. So
yeah, he did a really good job. I think he totally deserves like another chance. Like I think he at least deserves his third movie. Oh, dude, like he totally does a crazy accent. Russell Crowe. I don't even know why Russell Crowe was in that fucking movie. I was like, this dude's here just for a paycheck.
I think so, and I think that they cast him going, look, guys, we've got Russell Crowe. You know. Not really realizing that it's like, well, he was just in the MCU and he kind of flopped that as well, like being Zeus, like that didn't really go down too well either. But now it's like he's got two kind of shitty superhero movies under his belt in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
not a good look for Mr. Crow, unfortunately.
No, and it's like, And we all know that Russell Crowe does a pretty decent job of acting. Like, so
Yeah,
what,
he's not a bad actor. Definitely
and,
not a bad
and
actor.
And like, to be fair, it's like Aaron Taylor Johnson and Russell Crowe did a fantastic job. I thought their acting was pretty damn good here and there, but it doesn't save them from the show. Like it
Mm,
absolutely does. Because I mean, you can only give an actor so much, but if the
exactly.
writing and directing is so fucking
Exactly.
bad,
Yeah,
it's going to make them look bad, which is
of
horrible.
course.
Because Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think like he did really well in Bullet Train.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
he's a good
fantastic.
actor. Very good
Yeah.
actor. I thought he's so good that I thought he was American. Like I genuinely thought he was American. I didn't know he was English
I
until I
didn't
saw
realize he
Bullet
was
Train.
kick ass.
Yeah, well, I knew that, but I didn't know. I always thought Kick-Ass was an American kid. I didn't know he was like a young English kid. Like, so
Oh yeah.
he's a good actor. When actors are able to trick you into thinking that they're a different nationality, I think that's a real sign of a good actor. Like,
Oh
and
yeah.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is a good actor. Like Andrew Garfield is a phenomenal actor in my opinion, and those Spider-Man movies got a lot of bad reception. I personally don't give them as much grief as other people do, but they weren't great. Like, you know, the storyline wise, they weren't great, but Andrew fucking acted his ass off. The CGI department did a fucking phenomenal job. Like the suit designs, everything in those movies was correct. Just the story wasn't good. You know what I mean? The
Right.
scripts were poor, but everything
Was
else was great.
was Toby the only American actor to play Spider-Man?
So far, yeah, yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. Unless you want to unless you want to count our boy Nicolas Cage, Griff is bringing up here the Spider-Man Noir show. So
Uh,
technically, we have
yeah.
two live action Spider-Man who are American. What do we
I
think
mean,
about this show? Have you seen some of the? I've seen like a couple of behind the scenes pics. Like the thing that kind of, you know, I love Nick Cage. I think a lot of people like Nick Cage is very middle ground. Like some people think he's like awful and ridiculous. Some people think he's a genius, and it's all part of the kind of like all the shit movies he does is just part of the Cage effect. I
mhm.
personally love it. I think he's great. And the fact that this movie is live action, well, it's a TV series, but it's going to be on Amazon, which is kind of strange. But anyway, but it's Nick Cage playing Noir, and he's done the voice for him in the Spider Verse already, and it's the guys who made the Spider Verse are actually making this live action show. So I think we're going to be in good hands.
Okay. I mean, like, the only thing that always worries me is like how often are they going to actually have him wear the cowl? Like, how often are they actually going to allow him to be um, the noir Spider-Man? Like, are they just going to have Nick Cage sitting out there, and then they're going to have him put the mask on near the end of the entire show? Which
Some of the behind the scenes stuff that I've seen is like him in the cowl and he's got the hat on, like Detective Spider-Man looking, and it looks cool. It looks really cool. And
okay,
I've seen a couple of shots of like him kind of dressed as a detective as well. To be honest, I think they go full send on the Spider-Man because then you don't have to use Nick as much. Like I think it's
right?
like I think that's the clever way to do it. Like have him in the mask and then you can just have a double doing all the stunts and shit, and then you know you just use Nick for his voice like he's been doing with the animated stuff.
Yeah.
um, I think that's the way to go, and that's the way I would do it if I was making it. I would have him in, say, in mask 80% of the time, Nick Cage out of mask maybe 20% of the time. I think that's probably the clever way to do it, and the cheaper way to do it as well. But yeah, I don't know how it's gonna go.
Mhm.
Um, Maniac says sorry just about Man of Steel. Yeah, I absolutely love Russell Crowe in Man of Steel. He was brilliant. He played
Yeah.
Jor-El.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That was good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Karen Gillan always gets me. Yeah, she's got a very thick Scottish accent. Again, I didn't know she was Scottish until I saw an interview with her, I think during like the Jumanji tour, and I was like, hang on a second. What the fuck? Mando, that shit? Facts. Facts. Mask on all the time.
Yeah, man. I think it'll work out pretty well then. If he's gonna give it the old college try and actually have the cowl on every now and then, um, I think that'll work out because I think it would be a cool situation to have him doing stuff by day, but then wearing the costume by night kind of
Yeah.
situation, um, or even like here and there, maybe just tossing back and forth. Maybe it turns into like kind of a chaotic thing where like he puts it on here and he takes it off there, kind of,
Oh,
you know.
bro, like if the people who were making like Craven and Madam Web and all this stuff and Venom and all, if they got their hands on this project, it would be Nick Cage 99% of the time. And
Oh
like
yeah.
the last scene of the whole show would be him like dropping the mask and zipping off on the webs. Like they do it once or something. And the
Oh
whole
yeah.
show would just be him being a detective and it would just be a normal cop show, but the cop's name is Peter Parker. Like that's all it would be, like guaranteed. But I think these guys, the fact that we know who's making it, it's the guys behind the Spider-Verse. I think we're safe. I think we're going. I think we're going to hands.
Oh yeah.
What
And
else?
well, and it's funny that you mentioned that because that's kind of what happened at the end of Craven, where
Oh
like
yeah, I'm not shocked at all.
yeah, like
Is that the scene where he's
essentially
in the cave and he puts like the thing on, and is that like the
oh, he
last scene
wasn't
of
in
the
a
film?
cave. He wasn't in a cave. He was at home.
Oh, okay.
So like so the way spoilers for anybody who doesn't want to know the ending. So for the way it ends is in my opinion the dumbest way to kind of set this character in stone. And that is so he gets his just due because or just rewards because he finds out that throughout all of this endeavors after taking down Rhino because Rhino gets killed, Rhino essentially gives the information that Nikolai, his father, was the one that gave the information. Oh, have a good one, Marvel Maniac. Nikolai, his father, is the one that's been basically divulging in all the information and basically giving out where he's been, what he's been up to, what kind of like situation it is, like basically trying to get him killed.
Yeah.
And so Sergei goes out and finds Nikolai in the woods because he's a hunter, he's always hunting and whatnot. Has a talk with him and basically was like, basically tell him like I knew you would be like this. I don't, I don't understand why you couldn't just leave things be and whatnot. And basically like you're a monster. And then apparently a bear from afar away is like coming. You can hear like a bear call, like kind of coming out. And I'm like, can Craven call animals? Because I don't recall that.
Like Aquaman, like
Yeah,
bringing forth the sharks and stuff.
dude, he called in a snow leopard. I don't know how. Like nothing. Like he called the wildebeests or oxen or whatever the fuck, and brought them all to attack like the trucks and knock them the fuck over. It's just the weirdest shit ever, man. Like it essentially. So the bear's coming. Nikolai's like, oh shit, I've got like 20 guns. Let me grab a shotgun. Grabs a shotgun and he's like, wait a minute. Pops it open and it turns out like Sergei took out all the bullets and everything. And then you see a CG bear just run in and you see like the biggest dive from a bear ever, like flying across the screen and attacks Sergei. And then you hear in the background that he's getting fucking murdered. And then you get to the end and Dimitri's like, and Craven's like, oh, okay, so we're out of the business, right? He's like, Dimitri's like, no, I took it over. And it's like, no shit, you took it over. Just like in Shang-Chi with like his sister.
10 rings, taking over 10
Yeah,
rings.
she took over basically he took over Nikolai's spot and he's like, no, I'm going to continue to grow. And then like at that point, he's like, also, by the way, because you killed our father, you're no better than him. So even though you saved me, you're no better than our father. So I'm disowning you. And it's like, what?
Yeah. So now he's Craven the Hunter, the bad guy.
Yeah. So like essentially he's trying to follow Sergei and it's the fucking weirdest thing. Like he follows Sergei across the bridge and he grabs Sergei by the shoulder, turns him around. And I thought it was a pretty cool moment. Turns around and it's Aaron Taylor Johnson's face on Dimitri's like body.
Oh god.
And he's like, basically saying like, what? I'm the chameleon kind of situation.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and then you see the mask come off and it's white, just like in the comics. So I'm like, okay, that was cool.
Yeah. Thank God
I kind of wish
that.
Yeah, but I kind of wish they had kind of put him out a little bit more, maybe gave him a little bit more to work with. I would have loved to see him like actually try to do stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it goes like that, and then Dimitri goes, Nikolai left you a note at home. And so Sergei goes back home, finds the note, and it's like, son, I've been meaning to give you this for a long time. I think you're now ready. Remember, I am you, you are me. Together, we are hunters. We will always be looking out for like the greatest prey or the greatest trophy. And then he pulls up the thing and he puts it on slowly, and then he takes a seat in front of a mirror and he does like the pose. And I'm like, and then credits, and then credits.
Saw that, yeah, I saw that.
And I'm like, oh.
They used that in one of the promo photos, I think, or one of like the posters or something. I've seen the picture of him, and he's sitting there, and like his abs are out now, and he's just got the fluffy coat on, and yeah, bro, it's.
Oh, did it? They totally did the tropey thing of like he took his shirt off and he's like, showing off the abs.
I'm a beast.
Oh,
he is a beast, though. Like, to be fair, but
look at my 6-pack and the vagina bones. That, I love. You've heard of that meme, right? Like they did a meme. Yeah, the V, but like, but they did that. Like there was a meme on, I think, Breath of the Wild or something. It's like, is it like some people were asking, it's like, why did they give Link like the vagina bones? It's like, what are you talking about? It's just his hip bones, idiot.
Yeah. That's so funny. Not the Leon pose.
Oh, 100%. Like it's just taking a moment so you can bask in the glory. It's almost a Thor pose too, like where he like.
Thor's a god, though, so he gets a pass.
So is KRAVEN, apparently.
Well, true. We've just hit the hour and a half mark. Do you have anything else you want to talk about today, or
my throat's spent?
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's fine. We're not live next week, guys, and the next podcast, if you're around, is going to be the 29th, so it's going to be after Christmas. I don't know if that suits you. If not, it'll be not till January. So, guys, this might be the last time we see some of you before Christmas. So, happy holidays to anybody who celebrates it, who's listening to us. And if we don't see you this side of 2024, we'll be back in 2025 for another year of fantastic podcasts. So, yeah, have a great holiday, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.
Happy holidays.
Bye.